the lesser known of the two movies made about wine from the 2000s. Bottle Shock, starring Chris Pine, Alan Rickman, Bill Pullman, Rachel Taylor, Freddie Rodriguez, and directed by Randall Miller. The film is based on the true story of the 1976 blind tasting competition held between French and California wines. Bottle Shock focuses its story on one California vineyard in particular, owned by Bill Pullman's character, Jim Butcher, who is also helped on the vineyard by his son, Beau, played by Chris Pine. They are struggling financially, and without producing a successful wine for the season, they will have to sell the vineyard. Enter the British wine enthusiast, played by the late great Alan Rickman, who offers to put the California wines up against the vaunted French. Rickman's character, Steve Spurrier, doesn't really think the California wines have a chance, but he is surprised with how good the wine is in California. Bottle Shock is a simple, light, fun movie. There isn't much to its story, but the film does try to add a bit more to its characters. It's about the romance of making wine, along with the desire to do something with your life. Jim Barrett left a law firm to buy a winery and make wine. He knows what he is doing, but there is always a hint of him being lost in the process. Beau is a hippie who is still lost in the 60s and doesn't want to grow up. Rachel Taylor plays the girl interest for Pine and Freddie Rodriguez and adds a love triangle element to the story. She is probably the least developed character, but still plays the role well. I could have probably done without this story element, but it doesn't hurt the movie either. Rickman's character Spurrier wants to prove he belongs in the wine circles in France, and sees the competition as a way to become established. Most of the characters have something to prove to either themselves or the outside world, and while it might be a tad cliche, I found the story and characters engaging. All of the actors in the role do a fantastic job. Pine might seem a bit out of place playing the hippie, but he does it well. There is a great scene with him going to the country club to ask his mother for more money, and it is beautifully awkward. Alan Rickman stands out above everyone because of who he is. He plays the pompous British wine snob to perfection. There is a hint of his inner goodness throughout the film though. He has the facade of being a snob, but by the end you can't help but like his character. I can watch this movie over and over simply because Rickman is in it and how he plays the role. The film is worth a watch at least once just to watch him perform. Don't get me wrong, he's not playing Macbeth, but he does a good job. Pine and Rickman are the standouts in the film for me, but Rodriguez does a good job in his role as well, and adds an interesting Mexican-American element to the story. It might be a little heavy-handed at times, but I still enjoyed it. The entire story might be a little too on the nose at times, but with its light, fun tone, it doesn't worry about making big statements with its characters. The backdrop and setting of the film is another reason I like it so much. Setting the film in Napa Valley is fantastic. The characters travel around the valley quite a bit, and why wouldn't you use this as an excuse to shoot fantastic scenery? Along with the scenery, I found the musical score in the film added to the tone as well. I liked that Spurrier had a little French theme to go along with him, and Beau had a rock one. Then with the sweeping shots of the valley, you get an appropriate musical score to go along with them. The score just added a bit more enjoyment to the light-hearted, good-natured movie. The only issue I had with the movie is that the pacing is a little bit off. It is probably about 10 to 15 minutes too long, and some of the scenes could be cut to speed up time. They could have cut out the love triangle aspect and it would have sped up the pace. The ending had one too many scenarios, and while part of each are probably true, they could have cut out one to streamline the ending. Even with these problems, I have watched Bottle Shock numerous times. I'll stop and watch if I catch it on television at any point and continue until the end. For me, Bottle Shock is a fun, enjoyable film based on true life events. I think it's worth watching, and if you have Amazon Prime, it's available to stream right now. If you have seen it before, let me know what you thought. If you haven't, does it sound interesting? Comment and let me know. Like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching.